So, a really powerful technique that I've been doing recently to kind of like clear off some of these lower parasitic timelines where I was being targeted and siphoned and fed on by these parasitic demonic entities, basically, that were either fully playing the roles of some of the people in my life on some timelines, or they were subtly controlling them and kind of puppeteering them around subconsciously. It really just depends on the timeline, right? Because there's infinite timelines, right? There's a timeline where anyone you can think of might not be who you really think they are, right? But there's also a timeline where they are, and that gets into what you manifest, because both Earths exist, right? Anyways, something that's been helping me with kind of like stepping out of that, and also just like healing a lot within myself, is realizing that in the same way, when, say, like, you have a dream that you're very invested in, like while you're sleeping, like say you're super invested in the dream, and all of a sudden you get woken up abruptly, the dream fades, and before you know it, you're tuned out of that reality and you're tuned back into this reality, whether you like it or not. And it really just puts into perspective how, eventually, someday, even this reality is gonna fade, right? Just like a dream. And I guess, like, using that analogy energetically within myself and projecting that onto reality in order to cut cords from certain timelines and realities and even people and even bad versions of my own self, it's just really been helping me let go and release, basically, if that makes any sense. So in other words, this applies across the board, but especially to like those timelines where these bad things were taking place, right? Even though I would shift away from them, a lot of them were still slithering back in my subconscious, and before I knew it, my reality would shift back, right? Because that's how it works. It'll try to come back in your energy somehow, some way. But if you constantly, like, if you learn to develop your skill of letting go and releasing and cord cutting in general, then you just protect yourself more from letting that happen. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, building your mind, like the framework of your mind to just constantly get in the habit of releasing these things is just good, right? And I would just say, make it a habit every single day to have a few minutes where you meditate, maybe you listen to music, and you just think about all of the lower vibrational things in your life, whether it's a whole timeline, maybe a person, or even maybe some of your own BS that you have to heal, some of your own false egos. Think about those things that dim you, and in the same way that we wake up from a dream and we keep moving forward, right? Kind of apply that same energy to those things. Like, just basically tell yourself that those things were a bad dream, because in a weird way they were. Everything's a dream. And that's the point of this video, is if you really think about it, even now, this is a dream. And if you start to look at this reality as no different from a dream, it gets really fun, because you can start basically becoming lucid here. And the more lucid you become here, the the more in control you'll be. You're always in control either way, but it'll be even more fun to be in control, and it'll make the framework in your mind easier to maintain. That way you won't have these up and down spiritual battles that a lot of chosen ones and starseeds go through, right? If that makes any sense. So in other words, if you use the dream analogy to kind of get your subconscious on the right track, you can also then, like, doing all of that will help you see this reality as a dream too. And to go even deeper with this, like, another download that I had recently is, if you kind of just accept that one day this will be nothing more than a dream that will fade, everything, like, not just your life, but like this whole construct of existence, Earth, the astral realms, even eventually everything has to go, because everything works in cycles. Whether it's in 100,000 years, 100 million years, 100 billion years, if you like tap into that frequency of knowing that this too shall pass, and stack that knowing of this too shall pass on top of everything else I covered in this video, and you have all that working automatically in your mind, it gets super powerful. And I notice it's so much easier to just cut those cords. Like, it's like your mind will automatically cut it and kind of strip away any lower residue, if you will. And it'll help you better focus on where you want to be going, right? Because the next part is, what do you want to create? What are your desirable realities, right? Shoot, I just got my eyelash stuck in my eye. But yeah, I was saying, what do you want to create, right? Like, desirable realities. So once you learn to let go of your undesirable realities, you have more room to focus on your desirable ones. But yeah, like, the main point of this video as well is just basically learning that focusing on letting go and releasing what we don't want is just as important as focusing on what we do want to be creating for ourselves, right? We need to do both. Like, we need to have times of the day where we're focusing on releasing and letting go of things, and then times of the day where we're focusing on what we want to be creating, where we want to be going. I was only focusing on what I want to be creating, and because of that, because I was ignoring the other thing, I was in an up and downhill battle constantly. I was still getting sucked into these rabbit holes, these energy siphoning timelines where I was being like targeted and siphoned. Because again, the multiverse is literally real, guys. Like, there's infinite realities. So yes, there are Earths where this energy siphoning is going on. There's also Earths where a lot of these people are just normal humans that have trauma and weren't raised right, or they, you know, most boomers, you could just blame it on boomers. Like, honestly, like, their entire generation, most of them have some problems just because, you know, like, they're narcissistic by nature. And whose fault is that? Society's? I don't know. You create that part too, because there's infinite Earths. But I'm just saying, like, you could kind of write off a lot of the energy siphoning timelines and replace it with just the fact that they're just a person like you are, trying to learn and live life too, and they have a lot of stuff going on within that they need to heal. You can write it off like a tax, you know what I'm saying? And step out of those Earths. But I'm fully acknowledging that those other Earths are real. Like, there are literally Earths where people, you know, may be fully aware, conscious agents out to get you and siphon your light. The point is, we don't want to be on those earths. So if you don't want to be on those earths, you kind of got to stop talking about it. So my content's going to be changing a little bit, you guys. I'm going to try not to talk about the chosen one star seed energy siphoning as much. But I've talked about it enough, so I've left breadcrumbs here for those that are meant to find it, and I'm going to intend that these all find people that it needs to find on those timelines, right? Like, I hope it ripples out into the multiverse, if you will, because the internet itself is kind of like a multiversal web in itself, meaning like you can actually see videos that are on different timelines and earths if you assume that you can. And if you really think about it, a lot of the internet is just our projections. Like, think about all the stuff you project into your algorithms. Like, you know how people say they built their algorithm brick by brick. Think of all of the emotions and thoughts and stuff that you project into your phone, which is like a personal, intimate item of yours that you possess that is connected to the internet and all these algorithms and things. So when you really think about it, the internet can kind of work as like a multi-timeline thing, meaning like I might not be on the same earth as you right now. I might be on a very similar one, but how would you really know? Unless you know. You know what I'm saying? It's your reality, so you choose anyway. And you can change it as much as you want, and that's something else I talk about a lot, is you can say my phone is multi-timeline, then you can say it's not, and then you say it is. And it's always true, because it's always your show 24/7, you know? This is your story, this is your song, this is your movie all day long, because you are God just as much as I am. You're a creator. So, that being said, guys, hope this helps. This was a deep dive. This is kind of like an all-in-one inclusive buffet, if you will, of knowledge. So I was gonna make a bunch of separate videos, but I think I'm just gonna make this one long one and put it all together. So yeah, hope this helps. Peace out.